Prime Minister begins speech amidst power outage. Public servants attend session on retirement plans. Motu Koitabu people represented in Parliament after 40 years. Welcome to Friday's news. I'm Kilawani. Prime Minister James Marape says this is the right time for Papua New Guineans to get into business. He was speaking at the annual SME breakfast this morning at APEC House in Port Moresby. He said PNG has enormous potential in meeting the increasing demand for food amongst countries in the Asia-Pacific region. The breakfast event concluded a week of meetings for the small to medium enterprises.
The Prime Minister's speech on SMEs in the country this morning was disrupted by a power outage just before he began, enabling him to begin his speech by addressing power infrastructure issues across the country.
If you include Morobe and if you include Medang and the 7 Highlands provinces, that's about 5 million people, all living within 20 to 30 kilometers either side of the grid, from Leh, Medang, going up into the bushes where I come from, Pogo and Heights. So those strategies are being rolled out as we speak, and hopefully a couple of years' time, power issue would be redundant in our country, especially in main areas where the economy is anchored.
But the Prime Minister's main concern is for Papua New Guineans to get into the SME space, as he says his government is fully supportive of it.
This world is no place for swimmers and those who cry babies and those who sit down and expecting miracles to come down from heaven. Of course, miracles do exist, but you have to put in the hard yards yourself. You have to work hard. If you sit back and cry and say, why am I in this spot in life? Then I tell you, you will be on the sideways.
The SME breakfast this morning concluded SME Week that saw various participants from the SME sector showcasing some of their products and services, as well as speakers from the industry empowering participants.
So we want to be able to support SME chambers of commerce in every single province around Papua New Guinea. What we want to do from the national level is to connect with our provincial levels, through the provincial administrators, through the economic divisions, and from the provincial level through to the district, through to the LLG. So we're working the strategies of structure that are already in place.
This week the MSME Council had our launching here at SME Week. We had over 500 MSMEs join the council. So what are the benefits of joining the council? So at the MSME Council, we are a collective voice for all of the MSMEs all over the country.
Annette Sete and her team from Maku Gifts have been part of the SME Week celebrations at APEC House. Being in PNG's fashion industry over 5 years now, she shared some challenges for businesses operating in the country in light of the impacts of COVID-19 on the country's tourism sector.
The main challenges that we have in the SME sector is capital to start up and capital to even, grow your business. The other challenge that we have is all these other issues with continuous power blackouts. Like it costs us when we operate a factory, a small factory, when we operate a business shop and all that. Continuous power cuts have really affected, in terms of production.
The Marape government's SME funding of 200 million kina each year over 5 years, which began last year, is aimed at encouraging and empowering SMEs. However, the Prime Minister is concerned that the 80 million kina allocated to the National Development Bank in 2020 is yet to be rolled out, mainly due to internal management issues over recent months. PM Marape plans to have an audience with the NDB board and management on this in the coming week. BSP Financial Group Limited, on the other hand, has commenced lending out the 100 million kina that was allocated to them. The Prime Minister said although no SME funding was allocated to Kina Bank, He said the bank has specific products in place for SME owners to utilize. Danny Sorere, National EMTV News.
Port Moresby residents can expect water rationing this weekend due to power outages experienced in Port Moresby. The water treatment plant at Mount Ariama has been affected due to power blackouts, and Water PNG is advising residents to store water. A schedule of the water rationing can be found on Water PNG's official Facebook page. The Department of Personnel Management, in partnership with Treasury Department, have conducted a two-day information session for all line government agencies. The whole of government retirement briefing session attracted over 300 participants from the national and provincial administration. The briefing session will help respective agencies to put together their own exit plans for their staff.
The information session saw various speakers from the Department of Personnel Management, Treasury and Number 1 Super who made presentations on various topics. DPM Secretary Tyre Sanson says they have taken a different approach in hosting the retirement information session this year. The information session is to equip respective line agencies with the required information they need to be able to deal with retirement matters. The retirement exercise is a key government directive issued in 2016. However, the retirement exercise was delayed due to funding challenges. In 2019, the NEC then directed the development of a whole of government retirement process. Last year, over 2,100 retirees were to be retired at a cost of 430 million kina. However, only 467 retirees were retired with a funding allocation of 28 million kina. With the new approach to implement the retirement strategy, respective line agencies are responsible to have in place their own exit strategies for staff. And the information session will help the line agencies understand the process and procedures to administer and implement the retirement exercise, the retirement payment method, and the exit plans for public servants. Rayon Lakingu, National, EMTV News.
The Ministry of Public Service yesterday launched the Human Resource Development Strategic Plan for public servants. The 2020 to 2050 plan is a long-term blueprint that will become the public service career path policy framework for the workforce. The objective is to improve manpower planning through a proper pathway for public servants.
The Human Resources Development Plan is intended to improve general effectiveness and efficiency in the performance of the public service. The 30-year plan also aims to strengthen systems and processes within the public service with critical importance of districts and LLG's performance to ensure service delivery.
Fully following this roadmap and being optimistic, 30 years on, when we look back, this roadmap would have engineered a cadre of Papua New Guineans who come into the public service with pride and dignity, knowing that their input will ensure Papua New Guinea becomes successful and citizens of this country are blessed. We need to build a public service that is happy, that knows their purpose in life. And one of the phrases put into my speech, that it becomes a career of choice and not a second place when you apply elsewhere.
The new plan is the first ever long-term roadmap for the public service since independence. The Secretary of the Department of Personnel Management, Tyre Sanson, said since the launch of the Vision 2050 in 2009, a lot of sector plans were developed to support the vision, except one from the public service. The new plan will support the Vision 2050's theme of building the next generation of nation builders.
From the outset, let me say that the plan sets in motion the need for a revitalized public service, one that will see a new cadre of public servants. This plan is about raising the next generation of leaders in the public service, which supports the PNG Vision 2050's theme of building the next generation of nation builders.
The Public Service Minister, Joe Sungi, said the plan basically sets out the roadmap for entry into the public service and he stressed on the requirement of individuals to have a certified management qualification to be eligible to work in the public sector.
You can take a position if you don't have the qualification. You must be qualified. You must be a qualified leader or a manager. Otherwise, you will know how to manage. Because the most important resource that you must manage first is the human resource and your own officers. Stop jumping over them and going to money.
Charlene Airy, National EMTV News.
Celebrations erupted at Hanwabada village as soon as the announcement of the winner of the Northwest by-election was made. Lohia Boy Samuel becomes the third Motu Koitabuan to be elected to parliament after late Gavera Rea and Mahuru Rarua. 24th of June will go down as history for the people of Motu Koitabu after 40 years of not having a representative in parliament. Lohia Boy Samuel was declared member-elect for Moresby Northwest, polling 25,185 votes after eliminations.
Days of pent-up post-election anxiety gave way to spontaneous celebrations as Lohia Boy Samuel supporters cheered news of his win for the Moresby Northwest by-election. It was a moment the people of Purpurna was waiting for after 4 decades of no parliamentary representation. LBS becomes the third native to be in parliament after the late Gavera Rea and Mahuru Rarua. People from all corners of Moresby Northwest were present to welcome the new Pangu party member. They welcomed and cheered on for Lohia Boy Samuel from the entrance to Elevala. Podivai, National EMTV News.
Following the declaration of Lohia Boy Samuel as member-elect for Moresby Northwest, the election wreath was returned this morning. Acting Electoral Commissioner Simon Sinai, after presenting the wreath to the Governor-General, said he believes the election was successful despite claims of illegal conduct during polling and counting. He says the electoral roll remains a challenge for the Commission. However, with support from the national government and stakeholders, they will be ready before the 2022 national general elections.
Although we dragged on for so long, dragging on was necessary because we had to also consider their interest because they are the stakeholders. They are a party to the whole process. So when we have done that, we have successfully delivered elections. If we continue to drag and continue to bulldoze and without regard to any of those participants, then it is not a greater way of managing any government services. Because this is a government service, it's not a private business, so we have to consider other people's interests as well.
Ahead on National EMTV News, Australia's assistance to revive PNG port sites, electricity and hospitals. Details when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. PNG Ports Corporation Limited has partnered with the Australian High Commission to rehabilitate selected ports in the country. A memorandum of agreement was signed yesterday, which paves way for a 1 billion kina investment in PNG maritime port infrastructures. State Enterprise Minister William Duma says Australia's financial package comes at a critical time of a global economic downturn caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Memorandum of Understanding was signed between the Australian High Commissioner and PNG Ports. Under this MOU, the Australian government will be working with PNG Ports to finance the rehabilitation of selected ports in the country. A 30-year ports infrastructure master plan was also launched yesterday. This plan will guide the PNG Ports in the next 30 years to rehabilitate all maritime infrastructure by 2050.
And hopefully by 2050, all of PNG Ports infrastructure should have improved standards and facilities compatible with modern industry practice and modern safety standards.
The 1 billion kina support from the Australian government comprises of a combination of interest-free grants. This will support the modernization of PNG Ports maritime infrastructures located in Kavieng, Kimbe, Motukia, Lorengau, Orobe, Daru, Vanimo, Lei and other ports owned and operated by PNG Ports. Most of these ports have not been rebuilt and rehabilitated since 1975, and this will be the first time the ports will be rehabilitated.
For PNG, just as for Australia as island countries, ports are essential for trade and for connectivity. It brings the world to us, it brings us to the rest of the world. Investments to upgrade critical port infrastructure brings economic and social benefits to PNG and its people. And, I should say, with a little bit of self-interest, it brings economic and social benefits for Australia as well.
The State Enterprise Minister further reassured the Government of Australia that they will continue to work in partnership to ensure the project is completed with satisfaction. Prime Minister James Marape also thanked the Australian Government for this support, saying they must not take this support for granted.
And so it is not as if they're giving because they're in abundance. We must never take this sort of help for granted, as I said earlier. They're not giving because they're in abundance. They're giving because they have the capacity to help our neighbor, and not just an ordinary neighbor. We are the only colony ever in the life of their own country.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
The Finschhafen district in Morobe is one of 6 districts that will have their power grid facilities upgraded. Funded by the Australian government, the announcement was made in Lae this week. Other PNG Power-owned provincial grid facilities, which will also be upgraded, include Aitape, Daru, Kerema, Maprik, and Vanimo.
Being here in Finschhafen, welcome to Finschhafen District.
The Australian High Commissioner to PNG, His Excellency John Philp, announced the launch of this electrification project during his visit to Finschhafen this week.
Mi hamnos from Toka also in Australia by Halvin Finschhafen, Loga Power Finschhafen Station.
Under this project, 6 provincial electricity grid facilities that are owned by PNG Power Limited will be upgraded. This includes Finschhafen, Aitape, Daru, Kerema, Maprik and Vanimo.
Where we will provide support to PNG Power to upgrade the mini-grid system.
Big plan. Long High Commissioner from Australia, the mandate from Australia. Long tax money from all helping me plan.
In Papua New Guinea, access to electricity remains a challenge. Only 13% of 8 million plus people have access to grid-connected electricity, and power outages are common. Mr. Phillips said this project aims to connect communities to reliable, affordable and sustainable electricity.
We will upgrade the mini-grid for Finschhafen so we will have cheaper and more continuous power, and it's going to be less expensive, which is important.
The project, which will cost 67 million kina, is Australia's commitment under the electrification partnership with PNG, Japan, New Zealand and the United States to connect 70% of the country to electricity by 2030. Lucy Kopana, National, MTV News, Lae.
A delegation from Port Moresby, including the Australian High Commissioner, His Excellency John Philp and Health Minister Jelta Wong, were in Lae this week to get a briefing on the status of Angau Hospital redevelopment. They visited the project site at Angau Hospital and 2 major health centres still under construction.
Australian High Commissioner His Excellency John Philp and Health Minister Jelta Wong were in Lae this week to inspect the Angau Hospital redevelopment. They visited the project site at Angau and 2 health centres in the city that are still under construction. The Angau Hospital redevelopment will provide improved access to joint health services for the people of the Momase and Highlands regions.
It's not just this hospital we're talking about, it's all the supporting structures that Dr. Bingham was talking about outside of this hospital, outside of Lae, all the smaller facilities that really also need to work if you want this hospital to function as it really should.
For so many years we've budgeted money into the health department, but it hasn't gone to the right places. Now now that we're here at this stage, we've looked at where we went wrong. We've learned from the past so that our future can be brighter. And with the government's intention is to ensure that every Papua New Guinean is not left behind. We want to ensure that you have a choice to go to any health facility in our country.
The inspections were part of a 2-day visit to Finschhafen and Lae this week. The Joint Staff International Development briefed them on the progress of the construction, and then they moved to the new children's outpatient, pathology and breathing and nursery facility. One of the main concerns raised by the departmental heads was the lack of manpower to carry out quality health care services to the patients.
So having a structure does not necessarily mean best service. We must have all the components put together. So we must also have proportionate increase in the human resource. So human resource is not only doctors, but midwives who make this service flow. Again, to the statistics, we have 14 midwives. 40 midwives for laboring mothers. So this means that there will be about 1 to 2 midwives per shift looking after these 35 deliveries per day. Just overwhelming.
The delegates then moved to West Taraka Health Center in UN Gulf District and Tent City Health Center in Lae, currently under construction. The 2 new urban health centers have TB clinics, outpatient, emergency, maternity and child health services. The Australian government funds the 3 project sites visited.
What Australia is putting here is something that will last for years and years, and it provides quality, and I mean quality health service for our people. And I'm very privileged and honored to come again and go through and to ensure that we're going down the right track.
The tour was then led by Lae MP John Rosso to Milford Haven Clinic at Papuan Compound, where a 5 million kina health facility will be constructed by the Lae City Authority.
The whole idea is for the health facilities in Lae to have, instead of everyone congregating just at Angau, we have in each ward a proper urban mini hospital, that level 3 facility that takes the pressure off Angau. It also will be useful. There will be a dentist based at each one of them. There will be X-ray facilities at each one of them. There will be a doctor based at each one of them. There will be residents for our clinical staff there. There will be also birthing facilities there for our mothers and our women, so that they can be easily livable in their wards and be attended to in their wards, instead of everyone congregating on Angau. Angau will be now more a referral hospital for everyone else, and to handle major care, major intensive care sort of thing.
Julie Badui, OA, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Brown Hospital in Finschhafen, Morebe Province is one of the oldest rural-based hospitals under the Lutheran Church. Over the years, they've been faced with the challenges of power, medical supplies and funding constraints. Lucy Kopana reports from Lae.
This is the Brown Hospital in Finschhafen, Morebe Province. While it has been the hospital serving the people in the district as well as the neighboring LLGs, they've had funding constraints, shortage in medical supplies, and power problems as well. These challenges have been affecting operations.
Church Christian Health Services Fund been ceased cut down 2000 October 2019 or 18. And been kisem good money.
Being established in the 1970s, the Brown Hospital is one of the oldest rural-based hospitals under the Lutheran Church. The hospital board chairman, Gilingmuki Giusu, said although it is a district hospital, it was operating with a health center grant. Last year, it was upgraded to a level 4 hospital.
Level 4 August 2020. That's all funding come from government and still pending. Now this time game big play belong me plan money belong me plan in this facility.
According to the Health Minister Jelta Wong, the upgrading of rural health facilities is one of the focus areas of the current government.
We're looking at working with the PHA to ensure that they bring to us a plan on how to rehabilitate these 8 post and health centers.
We got big plan much long. Also back now improving these facilities because.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
And now, looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3613 Australian dollars, $0.2244 euro, and 30.15 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee closed lower, cocoa and copper closed higher, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading higher, copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 322.58 points higher. The ASX 200 is trading at 32.70 points higher. The All Ordinaries is trading at 39.50 points higher. Among stories after the break, Leh residents, including Open member John Rosso, get their first jab of COVID-19 vaccine, and China supports Fiji with vaccines. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Leh MP and Minister for Lands and Physical Planning, John Rosso, is urging the general public, especially frontline workers in Leh, to get the COVID-19 vaccine. The minister and his mother got their first jab of the AstraZeneca vaccine at Leh's Engau Provincial Hospital.
Leh MP and Minister for Lands and Physical Planning John Rosso and his mother were among those who got vaccinated on Tuesday this week. The mother and son got the first jab of the AstraZeneca vaccine at Leh's Engau Provincial Hospital, witnessed by Morbe Governor Ginsen Saunu and Health Minister Jelta Wong.
I had corona before, so for my own safety, I've got the jab now, the first jab. And I've also, my mother's sitting with me here, getting the jab too. So I encourage all citizens of Leh, especially frontliners and all Papua Nunians to get the jab. Like Bliat 11, Nogat Man Bafosiu, but the safety Bliat, you see one of me to protect him singing Bliat.
I can go and get the same.
After watching Minister Rosso and his mother go through the vaccine there, I see that a lot of people will come and get their vaccine. I myself took my vaccine in Finschhafen at the Brown Hospital while I was there yesterday, just to show the people that it's safe and it's a protection that will be for the future.
On Tuesday this week, Health Minister Jelta Wong, who was on an official visit to Leh with the Australian High Commissioner, His Excellency John Philp, to visit the Engau redevelopment site, said about 42,000 people in the country had been vaccinated. Minister Wong said there would be more vaccines available in the country in the coming weeks from PNG's donor partners. Wong said the vaccine would be from Johnson & Johnson supplier, which is suitable for PNG citizens.
This morning, the Chinese government brought in 200,000 of the Sinopharm vaccine. So that's going through the process to be allowed to be given to our people. At the moment, it's only allowed to be given to Chinese nationals, but we should have that rectified by the end of the week.
According to Health Minister, the vaccines are also rolled out in the rural communities through the provincial health authorities. The health department is focusing on using the vaccines available before its expiry date, which is at the end of July.
Every rural community through the PHAs have pushed the vaccine out into rural communities, and we are still waiting for numbers to come in, but we had some good numbers in some provinces, and some provinces not so good. And we've just been pointed to do more work in those provinces to ensure that our people get vaccinated in those rural areas.
Julie Badui, OA, National EMTV News, Lae.
Tukai Sports.
Welcome to Tukai Sports. The Isuzu 50 over cricket competition saw round 3 clash between the Reds and the Blacks at Amini Park in the nation's capital. A rare midweek game produced an upset win by the Reds over the Blacks, who suffered a 115-run loss. Isuzu Reds, winning the toss, elected to bat first, hoping to upset the Blacks lineup. However, the Reds were all bowled out in the 49th over for 205. The Blacks' innings started poorly, losing early wickets, including Asad Vala for 2 for an LBW to Ali Naum. The Blacks were all bowled out for 90 in the 22nd over of the innings. Isuzu Black retains top spot on the ladder, but the Reds' win gives them a breathing space in second spot. Round 4 of the Isuzu National 50 over competition continues this weekend at Amini Park, the home of cricket. University of Papua New Guinea, through its Sport and Recreation Office and the Student Representative Council, coordinated a sports festival at the Waigani campus. The 3-day event saw over 2,000 student athletes from the 5 major schools participating in various sporting events.
With the aim to unite the student body through sports, the initiative is part of the sporting activities and programs in higher education institution for students.
The Uni Sport Festival is basically to unite all the students together. And in the last few weeks, of course, we've heard about UPNG and the issues that we are facing in the university. So the idea of putting this sport together is basically to bring everybody together.
As an introduction, students participated in 8 sporting codes, including tennis. The games were played respectively in the 5 major schools.
And this is the benchmark for an annual event. So we try to add more codes, more sporting activities into the existing. Currently, we're starting with 8 sporting events. We got the soccer, we got the sevens, we got the rugby 9s, tennis, basketball, volleyball, and the netball. The competition is basically organized in schools. So this is more or less like the battle of the schools. We're trying to encourage Papua New Guineans. We're not encouraging regionalism.
The 3-day event commenced on Wednesday and ended yesterday. UPNG Rugby League President Wayne Wama commended the SRC and the organizing committee for successfully hosting the sports festival.
I want to commend the student services, the SRC and the administration of the university to organize such a great event that unite everyone together and to have that feeling of unity within the school, and it's a good way forward for the university as well. So the feedback has been it's been good over the few days, and now that we've come to the final, now everyone is enjoyed their holiday with the sporting festival and all that. So so far it has been so good.
The program will be added to the university calendar as an annual event going forward. Suli, Tukai Sports.
The Lae Biscuit Company last week engaged Family PNG for a one-day session with sporting franchises owned by the company to inform the teams about their work and how they can advocate on gender-based violence. The Lae's Next Tigers underwent the interactive exercise last week. According to company group manager John Chow, the company wanted to use them as role models in their sporting teams of rugby league and soccer to spread the key messages of gender-based violence in PNG.
The initial reason why we did it was to create a pathway of knowledge, close that gap, and just basically create an environment that was open to conversation about the topic. As you know, it's not openly discussed amongst face-to-face conversation. So creating an environment like this with Family PNG, it led to a lot of new discoveries, especially amongst ourselves. So definitely we're very happy with the program and the workshops that they conducted.
Family PNG operates Case Management Center in Ley since 2014. So we've been working for the last 7 years assisting survivors of family and sexual violence. We've assisted more than 3,000 from our office here in Ley. And in Port Moresby, we operate the Belize Case Management Center and a safe house that is a public-private partnership between the business houses and the government, and also supported by other multi-sector organizations, including the Australian government as well.
That story ends Trukai Sports. The weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region: Port Moresby and Popondetta, cloudy periods with patchy rain. Daru, partly cloudy with brief early morning showers possible. Kerama, cloudy periods with overnight patchy rain. Alotau, cloudy with few showers. In the Momase region, Ley, cloudy periods with few showers. Medang, partly cloudy. Wewak, cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorm. Vanimo, cloudy periods with some showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kimbe, partly cloudy with brief showers. Kavieng, partly cloudy. Kokopo, Rabaul, cloudy periods. Buka, cloudy periods with brief showers possible. And in the Highlands region, all centers, cloudy periods with patchy rain, then morning fog.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
The way it is this Friday, the 25th of June 2021, I'm Kilawani. On behalf of the news team, have a safe weekend. Good night.